How to play chess. Hello and welcome to Video Jug. Chess is an ancient and noble game of strategy and skill for two players. Dating back to the Middle Ages, it's been played by genii, intelligentsia and ordinary people throughout history, and is a great game to play with friends and family. We're going to teach you the basic rules of chess and set you on the path to becoming a grandmaster. Step 1. You will need a chessboard. Chess is played on a square board which is divided into 64 squares of alternating colors. By convention, these are referred to as light and dark squares. Chess pieces. A chess set consists of two identical groups of pieces. One is white and one black. One player plays with the white pieces, the other with the black. Each player has one king, one queen, two bishops, two knights, two rooks, and 8 pawns. White always makes the first move in any game. Step 2. Object of the game. The object of chess is to capture your opponent's king. In practice, the king is never actually captured, but trapped so that he cannot move without being taken. This is known as checkmate and is the end of the game. Step 3. Board layout. The chess pieces are lined up at either end of the board in predetermined places. They're configured as follows. The queen is always placed on her own color, nearest the middle of the row. Next to her in the middle is the king. The king and queen are flanked by their bishops, next come the knights, and finally the rooks. The pawns are lined up in front of the other pieces on the second row in. Step 4. The pieces. The king is the most important piece in the game. He can move one square in any direction. The queen is the most powerful piece in the game. She can move any number of spaces in any direction, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Bishops can only move diagonally, but they can move any number of spaces in one move. The knight is the only piece that can jump over other pieces. He moves one space horizontally and 2 spaces vertically, or 2 spaces horizontally and 1 space vertically. Rooks. Rooks can move any number of spaces in one move, but they can only move horizontally or vertically. When any of these pieces land on a square occupied by an opponent's piece, the player takes that piece, removing it from the board and out of play. Pawns have 3 different standard moves. The first time they're moved, they can move either 1 or 2 spaces forward. For the rest of the game, they can only move 1 space forward at a time. To take an opponent's piece, the pawn must move 1 space diagonally forwards. They cannot take by moving vertically forwards, nor can they move backwards. Step 5. Special moves. Promotion. If a pawn reaches the other side of the board, it can be promoted to the rank of queen, bishop, knight, or rook. It will then be able to move in the same way as that piece. En passant. The first time a player moves their pawn, they may move it 2 squares vertically. If, when he does this, there is an opposing pawn on an adjacent square, the opponent can take the first pawn by moving diagonally into the square passed over by the first pawn's double step. If a player decides to take en passant, he must do so immediately following the double step move. Castling. Under certain conditions, a king and a rook may move simultaneously in a move known as castling. This is a strong defensive position and is worth making if you can. In order to castle, the following conditions must be met. Neither the king nor the rook have yet moved in the game. There are no pieces in between the rook and the king. The king is not moving into check. None of the opponent's pieces are able to attack any of the squares in between the king and the rook. Provided these conditions are met, the castling move may take place. The king moves 2 spaces towards the rook, and the rook moves over the king to the next square. Step 6. Touching pieces. If a player touches one of their pieces, they must, if possible, move that piece. If they touch one of their opponent's pieces, they must, if possible, take that piece. Step 7. Check and checkmate. When the king can be taken in the opponent's next move, he is said to be in check. For example, black moves her knight into a position from which she will be able to take the white king in her next move. White must now move her king or take the black knight to prevent the king being taken. If there is a way to escape check, the player must take it. She may not leave her king in check at the end of the move. If there is no way to escape capture, then checkmate is declared and the attacking player, in this case black, has won. Neither player may make a move which leaves her own king in check. This is known as an illegal move. Step 8. Alternative endings. The 50-move rule. If 50 moves of both white and black have been played without any pieces being taken or any pawn movement, then a player can claim a draw. Stalemate. When a player is unable to make a legal move but is not in check, it is called stalemate. In this case, a draw is declared. Repetition and perpetual check. If the same position of pieces is repeated 3 times, a player can declare a draw. A player can force a draw by putting their opponent into perpetual check, thereby forcing them to repeat the same positions 3 times. Resignation. Either player at any time can choose to resign the game, in which case their opponent is declared the winner. Have fun playing chess.